So basically, the we know that there are two major area of agricultural practices, although there are so many offshoots that have been given time to time by many people. But one set is called traditional farming system, other is the, you can say, advanced or modern agricultural practices, or you can say the agricultural practices which are going to provide you high productivity as we are passing through that phase. And so many questions are there over the success as well as the outcome of the modern agricultural practices that we have adopted from very past, and which is the, you can say, one of the important reason behind the sustainability in food production, and including green revolution and all different components of agricultural revolution. But yes, there is something which is missing to link in between these two, and this could be a reason behind the uh, finally a kind of stagnation in agricultural production, as well as you can say the uh, quality deterioration of soil, ecology, all aspects. So, what was the causing factor? That one factor which is very much important is the linking between these two, and that is possible through the natural farming. We know that it is very much important uh, concept. We are aware that in traditional farming system, we are more emphasized towards the ecological balance. We are more emphasized towards the quality production, and till date also these practices are being adopted in many rural areas, in many hilly regions, where for so many crops the farmers are still using the traditional practices. Means they are not dependent on the fertilizers, they are not dependent on the chemical application, because uh, and you can go through the cultivation practices of tuber crops. Many of the tuber crops in the local areas, they are hardly being managed by adding the chemicals or fertilizers. They are fully produced by the natural means and techniques by the farmers. Even you can go with the millets that were being grown earlier by the farmers, or even wherever right now being grown by the farmers in the rural areas. They have totally, these crops were dependent on the ancient approach of cultivation even till date, and that is the one of the reason behind maintaining their quality and ecological balance in comparison to the farming in the area where farming is totally intensive. So, but yes, one drawback of that farming system was if it is being compared with the proper practices. So you can say that there is one challenge, and that is the low crop yield. But no doubt the positive side was quality produce, ecological health, soil health. So all these things were the positive side of the ancient production system, ancient farming system. Uh, Another area which we are going for the modernization, urbanization, and this has resulted one of the huge demand of agricultural produce. So the drawback of the previous farming system, low crop yield, was taken care, and this has resulted in the enhanced yield of the agricultural produce, especially wheat, rice, and thereafter so on in other crops as well. So because uh, breeding was one of the important aspect, no doubt, because that has resulted in transfer of that genetic material which was needed for high yield. But simultaneously, it was associated with high fertilizer demand, high water demand. So all these things were have changed totally. Slowly, steadily, chemical dependency has increased. So no doubt, boost of yield was there. We have become self-sufficient. But since population was growing, is still growing, and is in the very, you can say, geometrical way, very magnified way, but production is going to be a kind of stable uh, approach, rather, maybe if this same techniques will remain continued, I think it will result in the reduction of the production also in many of the crops. So boost of the yield initial phase was very good, which is not right now the same proportion is not being received right at the present. But the major challenge which right now we are facing is the health challenge, especially for the soil, ecological system, as well as the human also now. Means all component of an ecosystem, biotic, abiotic, all component. So considering these two, there is one aspect which right now is coming to be a very focused and is given priority also. Even ICR has included in the curricula right now also as a natural farming, uh, considering the importance of this farming system. Why it is so important? Because it is going to reduce the, or you can say it is going to uh, remove the drawbacks of both of this farming system. Means no compromise with the ecosystem, no compromise with the it. Means even we are going to maintain the same yield without damaging the ecosystem, we are going to achieve a very big thing. Because if the ecosystem will remain sustainable, obviously diversification will be very positive. Obviously, the total cumulative yield will be very high in comparison to the current approach. So, for the purpose, this natural farming is one of the very much important or essential thing which needs to be taken care or practiced. Coming to detail of that, basic it is based on two basic fundamental aspect of you can say crop growth and development. And what is the first basic principle is that what should be done? The crop should have one of the important ecosystem where it can be able to regulate its requirement itself. It can be able to mitigate its requirement itself. Means your soil should be enriched enough, should be managed in such a way that the all nutrient requirement which is essential for the plant should be maintained by its own rhizosphere. Any of the method that we can discuss later on, any of the method that can be applied. While we are applying the chemicals, that self-sustaining ecosystem of rhizosphere is damaged. So what is the first important principle is to create that ecosystem, restore the ecosystem of the rhizosphere so that it can be a self-sustaining ecosystem. And this is only possible through the natural farming approach. The second important principle that is associated with this natural farming is minimum human intervention. If human intervention is going to be reduced, obviously, directly, indirectly, this means that the rhizosphere is able to maintain its or sustain its productivity. All damage of rhizospheric region or area is only due to the human intervention, either by chemical or by mechanical, any of that. What should be the basic aim, objective? To develop close loop. Means the nutrient which is needed by the rhizosphere should be provided by the plant body itself, not should be dependent on the external intervention or even by the human being. So this is the one of the important component, important aspect, that there should be proper system to develop a closed loop of all input and output on the farm itself. or agricultural area wherever we are doing that cultivation practices. The second important thing, instead of extracting the crop, extracting the soil, there should be a harmonious relation between the farmers and the nature. Means replenizing the soil is one of the important aspect. So we should intervene up to that level which we can replenize. If we can't replenize, if we can't enrich it, we should not intervene up to that level. So this is one another important objective. The third important one is to reduce dependency on the costly and environmentally taxing or environment damaging resources. Means we have to minimize the use of those resources which are of high cost, because high cost is going to reduce the net profit to the farmer. And the second thing, it should not damage the environment, because it is going in long run, it is harmful for the productivity or crop output or aid. So if we are able to work on these principles, if we are focused on this aim, obviously the major functions which are related to this are going to keep a complete, you can say, atmosphere for a natural farming system. So which function? The one of the thing is eliminate chemical input. If you are going to eliminate a chemical input, obviously it is going to solve one purpose, cost; second purpose, environment damage. So these two things are going to be achieved. Another aspects are, it is also going to justify the minimal intervention of human into the crop production system. The another thing is enhanced soil fertility. Whatever means or measurements we are going to take or we are going to use to enhance or to improve the soil fertility, that are going to be not not the soil, uh, we are talking a nutrient level soil fertility in the holistic way, including organic components, microbial components, all these things. So that maintenance or that improvement, so whatever you are going to add should be taken care. We are going to add, if we are going to add FIM, whether it is serving the purpose of, if we are going to add fertilizer, whether it is serving this purpose or not. So what we have to do, we have to take care of this, that improve the soil fertility. The another thing is, it is very much important to understand the natural process, because complete, if you are going to understand the output of any crop or productivity of any crop, it is going to be a result of the genotype and environment interaction, right? Means it's very clear that genotype means a plant body is going to be influenced by the environment. So environmental aspects are going to affect the mm, physiology of the crop and thereby the productivity of that. So we need to develop such a kind of system which is going to be protective for the plants against the unfavorable conditions. So this is the third important aspect. Understanding of natural process will be helpful for mitigating the harmful impact of the unfavorable conditions over the plant. Minimizing the external inputs. Again, as much as possible, the external input should be reduced. Self-sustaining ecosystem. Overall, what is important, that whatever output we are getting, whatever input is required, are completing the loop of this input output requirement. So all requirements should be completed from the farm itself. And finally, the diversity should be maintained, should be conserved. So these are the basic principles, aims, and the functions. If we go through the background of the natural farming system, so obviously it's totally rooted with the traditional agricultural practices. Most of the indigenous practices or rural communities were following the practices of crop production, which was totally organic based, which are totally based on the natural practices. They were minimalistic. They were using the external inputs for the crops, right? Damage to the soil was also relatively minimum earlier. A different type of plowing equipments or tillage equipments are right now available, which were not at that time. So different techniques or approach like crop rotations, intercropping, so application of organic matter. So they were all being followed earlier and were very good, important, you can say, way to maintain the health of soil as well as ecosystem, complete ecosystem. Integrated farming system were also being followed, right? Swiss farming system being adopted. In American practices, three sisters, they were including the maize, beans, and squash, and they were growing together. So, different levels of growth as well as the different nature of the growth also. Especially one is nitrogen fixing, other one is the vertical growing. So they were being totally taken care. These were the few examples that were being carried out earlier. But yes, the concept was popularized as a modern natural farming. It is related to one of the very much, very, you can say, farmer, a philosopher who had become pioneer of this natural farming system was Masanobu Fuka, who has published one book 1975, that is the One Straw Revolution. Basically, the concept was do nothing farming kind of concept, means don't disturb the agricultural land or the crops or the platform where crops are going to be grown. So what is that? Again, we same thing, minimum disturbance, no interference in the natural processes, right? So these things were being taken care. Basically, the four core principles was elaborated at that time. No tillage, no chemical fertilizer, no weeding, no use of pesticides. So obviously, no disturbance and no chemicals. If you can group in this all these four, it is totally in two group. No disturbance of soil either by tillage or weeding. No chemicals in terms of fertilizer or pesticides. Right. So a kind of the zero effort or a kind of lesser involvement of human being the farming system. So this was the basic concept. Uh, Slowly from there, it has become a mass movement of throughout the world, right? In India also, zero budget natural farming was developed by Subhas Palekar. So it is also again a very well-known concept of farming, which was totally based on the indigenous aspects, indigenous knowledge, use of cow products for the purpose of nutrient and crop management, especially cow dung and urine. So this concept has become slowly, steadily globally recognized, especially in the African, American, and Asian. So throughout the different countries. So and finally has become one of the important matter of discussion. Still, it is a matter of discussion because it is not so popularized, widely accepted by the complete farming society. The one and only one concern is related to the productivity. Everyone is thinking about that, but still many thing has to be done. And to enhance its acceptability, many components have been integrated. It has been Natural farming has been integrated now with the many other sciences, especially for the uh, you can say as precision agriculture, including the irrigation, sprinkler irrigation system, remote sensing for the monitoring of crop health and nature and the prediction of the, you can say, climatic changes. So these all things, even microbial integration in that. So these all things has added the uh, challenges that were associated with the true natural farming system, that if we are not going to intervene, how that system is going to remain self-sustainable. So for that purpose, microbial interference plus remote sensing plus precision agriculture. So if these things are being carried out, obviously, if these things are being integrated, obviously the challenges that were associated with this natural farming is going to be reduced, and is going to give a productivity assurance to the farmers. Again, further in the advanced level, artificial intelligence and machine learning aspect has been integrated. So if these things are being combined, obviously it is going to give a very good output. So there is a minor change from, you can say, a old natural farming system towards the modern aspects. So you can add many things. Either you can use the composting, vermiculture, so that can also be integrated, which was not earlier as a component of the natural farming system. Adding the precise input delivery system in terms of irrigation, fertilizer. So either you can add drone technology or whatever to increase the efficacy of the inputs that we are adding to the crop. So obviously it is going to bring a change from the initial phase of the natural farming system to the modern natural farming system. Uh, so these all things, as we have discussed, a basic comparison that we should not confuse with this organic farming system with the natural farming system. So major variation you can understand that organic farming system does not say that you are not going to add external, or you are not going to disturb the soil or the growing areas. But natural farming system is the same, is that concept where no farming, no tillage uh, kind of concept you can do. Instead of adding the carbon, it is the in a natural sources or the by the organic method, it is better to go for sequestration of the carbon. So microbial components can be added here. So these things are very much important, and that's why the natural farming is not a kind of labor intensive practices. However, organic farming needs that high degree of labor involvement, because all inputs that you are providing is organically, and obviously there are separate challenge with the all these two practices. Related to that, one research work has been carried out, and it was based on the totally Jivamrit and its fortification. Normal Jivamrit, if we can understand that, okay, earlier method where cow urine, cow dung, and other components are mixed to develop a Jivamrit, and Jivamrit can be utilized as a important component of nutrient supplements in the natural farming system. But how can we do if we can improve this Jivamrit or efficacy of Jivamrit by adding some different components which were not being earlier added? So this research was basically based on the same thing, how we can fortify Jivamrit by adding the biofertilizers component. So this is the general aspects of how, what are the different components that are being generally added in the making of Jivamrit, either cow dung, cow urine, microorganism, jaggery can be used, floor can be, ground floor can be used, soil can be added. So different components, either cow urine, they are contributor of different aspects like bioenhancer, biopesticides, growth promoting substances are there, amino acid is there. Microorganisms are also going to contribute many things. Ground floor is also going to add so many important minerals, calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, and soil is going to give some set of requirement, which is going to give a complete, you can say, the natural preparation as Jivamrit. But what will happen if we are going to enhance its quality by adding some vermi tea or by adding neem cake, right? So if we are going to add the vermi tea, we are going to add neem cake. Obviously, some characteristics or you can say some parameters will change, and these parameters are key factor for the enhanced productivity or enhanced crop production. Similarly, if we will combine with the biofertilizers, obviously it is going to give a far better yield or productivity. So there were two factors which were taken during the study. One is the Jivamrit formulation, other is the biofertilizer formulation. So Jivamrit formulation either alone or with the vermity or with the neem cake. Similarly, biofertilizer either by using azotobacter or by using VAM or by PSB with the azotobacter or PSB with the VAM. So if these two factors, the research trial was totally based on the factorial. So interaction was also observed. So if we compare the initial phase of nutritional and microbial level, so bacterial, this is what the pure Jivamrit bacterial count, then Jivamrit and Vermity bacterial count. And if we have added with neem cake, what is the bacterial count? So similarly, if you will see that the pure Jivamrit in comparison to pure Jivamrit, adding the Vermity as well as neem cake has enhanced the microbial level, either a bacterial count or you can say the fungal and actinomycetes. Overall, the higher was reported when it was added with the vermity, right? And this is another soil analysis that has been done. So you can see that there is a variation in the nutritional level, as well as especially the carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all these things. So uh, when these treatments were applied and further microbial count of the soil after harvesting of crop was analyzed, so it was reported a better outcome when the combined Jivamrit and Vermity was applied. Here, when Jivamrit is being compared, means the it has averaged out all result of the biofertilizer for that particular factors and for that particular level. So you will see that J2, which is a combination of Jivamrit and Vermity, has resulted a better response, and Jivamrit plus neem cake was at par in some cases, but in many cases it was lower than that, Jivamrit and Vermity. Right? When we compare the biofertilizers aspect, so obviously associating or combining azotobacter with the PSB has given better result, like in B3. If you will compare for the many of the cases, except one or two. In case of if we will go through the fungal count, obviously PSB plus azotobacter has not performed to that level. But yes, for the bacterial count, it was high. For actinomycetes, it was higher. It was on higher side. So if you will go through this, obviously it is going to play another important role in the chemical aspect of as well. Either you can see the pH, or you can go, you can check the electrical conductivity, or you can check the organic carbon. So you will see that the combination of the Jivamrit with either primarily with the vermity for the certain parameter for the neem cake also has resulted in improved soil nutrient status after harvesting of crop after 1 year as well as the 2 year. So a better result has been reported. And similarly, by adding phosphate solubilizing bacteria along with azotobacter in some cases, also with the PSB with VAM. So these have resulted in a better uh, soil quality parameter. Similarly, NPK level was also checked, and the result was better in case of the Jivamrit when it combined with the Vermity. It was at par for the phosphorus content, nitrogen content also in the second year, but there was a substantial difference for the potassium level. So if you will go through this, you will see that adding this Jivamrit combined with Vermity is going to give a better nutritional level to the soil in comparison to the only Jivamrit or no Jivamrit level. So if we will go for the bacterial aspects, obviously PSB in combination with any of the component, either Azotobacter or BAM, has resulted in a better response in comparison to a standalone that. So there were many parameters that have been studied, but to lack of time, I'm not going to detail it. But here, when principal component analysis was carried out for the all parameters, and we have observed that the two basic principal component PC1 and 2 have resulted in a better, have given a better response, and you will see that Asian value was more than 1 for these two. But we have taken PC3 or PC4 also because it is really significant for certain parameters. If you will see that organic carbon, so the result was not significant for PC2, but for PC3 level, it was reported to be significant. So that's why this PC3 has also been included in this. Similarly, PC4 has also a substantial value has been reported in EC for the EC as well as organic carbon, and similarly the bacterial count also. So uh, when yield aspect was taken care, then you will see that Jivamrit along with the Vermity has given a better output in comparison to the standalone application. Rather, the second best treatment again in this case is the Jivamrit with neem cake. When bacterial aspect was carried, you can check, you will observe that there is again PSB with azotobacter has resulted in a better yield in comparison to the other aspects. Yes, uh, for 1 year, it is also at par with the PSB and VAM. So you will see that more or less these two are having similar result. And when economic analysis was carried out, and you will see that there is a substantial number of treatments have more or less near about to, you can say, BC ratio. And you will go to the J2 to almost all. Means Jivamrit with Vermi or Jivamrit with name cake has resulted a better outcome in comparison to the standalone Jivamrit or no Jivamrit component. So, and again, you will also observe that only by application of only biofertilizer has also not given a better result. If you will go through the all G0, including B1, B2, G0, B1, G0, B2, B3, so the result adding only biofertilizer into the soil is not going to give a better result. But yes, if you are adding with the Jivamrit, obviously the result will be better. But and simultaneously, the microbial health of the soil is also going to be improved, which may be useful for the next crop or for the long run if you will go through the long run of the productivity. So overall, what is that? In case of the in case of these Jivamrit practices or biofertilizer combination, even you are not applying the fertilizer, even you are minimizing the fertilizer, even after that you are going to ensure a better yield in comparison to when you are going for completely fertilizer based treatment in J0 and B0. So you are able to maintain that yield without adding the fertilizer aspect, right? So that is what important as important aspect that can ensure that yes, we can go ahead with the proper management practices if we are adding different components in a, you can say, augmented way or biofortified way. We think that the yield will not be will not reduce, and the soil health will improve, which will be very much beneficial for the next level of, you can say, production in next coming years without harming to the current yield also. So overall this was the outcome of the current research, which was very much, you can say, strengthening kind of aspect with the farmers. So thank you for this. If there is any